It's Onorato and Miller. It's Chris. It's Ash. It's a little bit of a crooked camera. Hello. Welcome to week 11 of the NFL season. We've got our picks coming up on the show. Baseball awards handed out. Drama in the NFL at both the Meadowlands and in Buffalo. We'll get to all of that with our Dirty Difficult done with some drama in college football as well. Like, you'd love to just talk about what's going on in the games and how guys are playing. But I'll be honest, that isn't as fun anyway, not even for me. Like, I don't want to recap what happened in week 10 of the NFL season. There is good drama to talk about. We're going to do that. We'll also have our good buddy Tim Reynolds from the Associated Press on. Born in the capital region, loves this area, working in Miami. Tough to beat that, I'm sure.
Not bad.
And so we'll go into the NBA with him, the in-season tournament, which a lot of people are watching. People will say, it's so stupid. The ratings are up. People are watching it. We'll talk about Kevin Huerter getting hot for the Kings. And, of course, Jimmer Fredette helping Team USA reach the Olympics. Will Jimmer be invited? And a real curmudgeon on social media, which has just dovetailed off that. I don't get it.
We love these people.
But maybe we'll talk about it anyway.
No, we should.
Let's go on Onorato and Miller.
This is Onorato and Miller, sponsored by Alpen House.
All right, here we go. The drama in the NFL, most recent drama anyway, is with Saquon Barkley. And so I'll just throw up his quote from today. Jordan Raanan of ESPN had it. And Barkley was asked the question, hey, do you feel like your commitment to this team and the fact that you continue to take on a big workload despite not having a long-term contract will kind of benefit you in the end? In the off season, do you feel like you'll be rewarded, right, for that? And this was his quote, which I thought was perfect. No matter how loyal, no matter how committed you are, it's a business at the end of the day. That is something that I've learned.
He learned a lot. We were there.
Good.
The day that,
Give me that
he came back, the first day that
That's
he
right.
returned to camp.
Right.
And I thought that his press conference was excellent. I thought he said all the right things. He was very honest about how he felt about the whole situation, but did say, like, I now understand. Like everyone says they understand until they're put in a situation where their team doesn't have their back anymore.
Yep.
And they're going to put money first, and they're going to make decisions that don't benefit the player. And in this case, didn't benefit him, wasn't exactly what he wanted. And he said, you know what? I did what I had to do. I now understand where we're at. And I thought he was very mature about it, had a good head on his shoulders about it. So this kind of follows that.
Okay, I was going to say, you would say this is a continuation.
Of that.
His mood has not changed.
Nope.
He just was asked a question that
And he may be a little,
like this.
He may be a little bit bitter, but I think he understands. Yeah, I think he understands, maybe this works out for him. Maybe he gets a deal with a better team. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, he might get a deal with a better team, but he's not going to get a long-term deal. He's 26 years old. He went on to say, like, it just doesn't really make sense. The more carries I get and the more productive I am, the less value I have long-term in this league, which is not true for any position other than running back. It's such a unique situation, but he sees it eyes wide open here that, like, yes, I lead the team in rushing. Yes, I'm being called on to do a lot of things here just to keep us competitive.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, like, am I going to get a 4-year deal worth $80 million? No chance. And 20 is too high anyway for running back. But you know what I'm saying? Like,
but if he can get a 2-year deal worth 20, like, it's not awful. There's a lot of guys who would like that.
It's not representative of his
the production,
talent, value, and production. Yep. Correct. That's
but it's not
kind of the
just
biggest
him.
issue here. No, I know.
It's the position, and he
100%.
He gets that.
Yep, 100%.
Unfortunately,
Jonathan Taylor got paid. I think Indianapolis saw, like, oh, hey, actually, we're kind of good. Maybe we want this guy in the building, and so Taylor got paid. The fact that the Giants are so bad and maybe in rebuild, right? I mean, we talked about this last week. If they have a top 2 pick, are they taking Williams or May? Probably. And so you immediately go into reboot and rebuild mode. There's no reason to spend money on a running back like Saquon Barkley, which maybe works out better for him that he would then kind of just.
That's what I mean. I think
widely hit the open market.
At least he's ready to hit the open market, and he can say, you know what, forget it. It's not a good team that I'm trying to.
So let's answer our question here. Is he done with the Giants? Is this his last year there? Obviously, they can franchise tag him still next year. But do you think this is it for him in New York?
Yes.
Or New Jersey?
Yeah.
I think he is too.
Yeah.
I think it's it too. I think the Giants feel like they're going to go into a little bit of a rebuild mode.
Mm-hmm. And if you're not ready to win next year,
are you? Let me just ask that. Are you, if Daniel Jones is ready by week 3, are you ready to win next year? You were a playoff team last year. You brought in a guy like Darren Waller. You've drafted pretty well.
But I think if the question is, are we ready to win next year? Then the answer is you can't spend that top draft pick on Caleb Williams or Drake May.
I agree.
You need to spend it on a talent that can plug and play right now.
Yep.
So you're not ready to win next year if you're going that route. You might be ready to win next year if you're taking a top talent that's not a quarterback, if Daniel Jones is ready.
Look, if they have the 3rd pick, you can get Marvin Harrison Jr.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. To be determined. Let's go into the other drama around the NFL, which takes us to Buffalo.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
And our guy, Bill Miller, Performance Industrial, where there is no job that's too dirty or too difficult for his team to get it done. Ash.
I love going with done dirty because it's just perfect and includes 2 of the 3 words that we like to use. Ken Dorsey was done dirty by the Buffalo Bills. Listen, I understand that the Bills are not good, but this is the scapegoat. This is the fall guy for a greater problem. And maybe it's not even that big of a problem. I said this to someone the other day, like, would you be surprised if the Bills just sort of figure it out and go on a run and get into the mix? I know the percentages are not great. Like there's the percentages are starting to work against them. But they lead their opponents in nearly every statistical category. Still, one of the problems is that they probably lead them in turnovers also, which has been their biggest Achilles heel in the last few weeks. They can't help but turn the ball over. It's Josh Allen. It's the running backs. It's kick returning. It's everywhere. It's like the plague. But those feel fixable. Those feel like fixable issues. And there had to be a fall guy. And you said this, if they don't make the playoffs, chances are Sean McDermott is out of a job anyway. But they had to blame somebody for what is going on. And they've blamed Ken Dorsey. And now he's out of a job and Joe Brady will fill in. And he was kind of that, the guru back in the day when he was at LSU.
Yep.
And I don't know that he's really panned out in the NFL so far.
Well, he doesn't have Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase.
Sure.
I mean, that's a big difference when you look like this genius and you've got those guys at LSU.
I get it. But he will now have Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs. Like those are pretty good comps. Okay. Maybe not in the current situation. And Diggs has created a little bit of drama, but I just think it's ridiculous to think if this turns around, it's not because they fire Ken Dorsey. It's because the Bills figure it out. And I think if they kept Ken Dorsey at some point this season, they're going to figure it out. They're going to be okay. Whether or not that means they make the playoffs, I don't know, because they're starting to dig themselves a little bit of a hole here.
Yeah, I mean, they're out of the playoff picture currently, but it's so jumbled up right now in the AFC that they could certainly get in at 10-7. Sean McDermott will not be back next year because they're not going to make it to the Super Bowl. They're not going to win the Super Bowl. The bar has been set so in the last few years that it is Super Bowl or bust in Buffalo.
Yeah.
And when you start firing pieces of the coaching staff and then you don't turn the thing around, and Buffalo's not going to, the head coach ends up getting fired eventually.
No, I don't disagree.
Allen is regressing in a bad way. And if you look at his numbers, the split between before Dable and after Dable as the offensive coordinator, it's wild. He's got 14 turnovers, 11 interceptions.
He's making bad decisions.
Correct.
Like that's not something
they can't run the ball still.
Right. But you don't forget how to play football. So I still think that it's fixable. And that's the thing. And yes, Carol's right. They're not getting blown out by teams, but none of it's pretty. Listen, you lost to the Broncos and you made the Broncos look a lot better.
They lost to the Patriots.
A lot better than they are.
Look at their losses.
Yeah, they're bad.
At least Denver is on the upswing.
Yeah.
New England is a bad football team, and the Jets can't score to save their lives. Look at what the last 6 games have been here for Buffalo. 20 a game. That's not good. And I know scoring is down in the NFL this year, but that's not good. And they're 2-4 in their last 6. It's some bad football being played by the Bills right now. All right, how about else around the NFL? Let's stay in the AFC East here. Robert Saleh says if Aaron wants to play, he's going to play.
Well, of course, he's Aaron Rodgers,
and they're not done, obviously. Are we still?
They might be close to done.
Of the belief that he can play this year?
We've seen him drop back. We talked about this. I mean, he's a lot closer.
But behind an offensive line where he's going to run to save his life, he's going to be able to do that?
No, I don't know that he'll be able to do that. But he's a lot closer to being able to play football than I would have ever imagined he would be. At this point, I would have been surprised if he was at the point he is now at the end of the regular season or the end of the whole season.
Yeah. This is funny. Can't blame Dorsey for Allen throwing interceptions
Correct.
and fumbling.
That's what I mean.
Undefeated if Tua was the quarterback.
Well, I don't know about that, but either way, it's that you can't all of a sudden he's making bad decisions, and that's Ken Dorsey's fault. Like
no, but they do look very predictable and stale and boring, and I don't know.
But is that a matter of trying to oversimplify, trying to because everyone's clearly frustrated, trying to oversimplify the offense and just make life easy and not take risks and shots because you're turning it over when you're not doing that. Well, let's not take risks and shots and risk turning it over more. So is that just a product of that?
Whose seat is hottest in the AFC East? And are 3 of the 4 on the hot seat? I think they are. I mean, I think the only guy whose job is safe in that division is Mike McDaniel in Miami. McDermott, no surprise. I think he's on the hot seat. Belichick, everything tells us he's on the hot seat, but maybe not. I still think there's the potential that he could be let go and they part ways or however they want to term it. The Robert Saleh thing for me is shocking.
Yeah, he's not on the hot seat.
But people in the know are saying that he is.
No, that's fine.
That this could be the end for Robert Saleh. That they've made moves to invest in this team winning. That the defense has been built to win games, and they're not.
But that's ridiculous.
He was part of the development of Zach Wilson, and it's not working. And
I get it, but Zach Wilson wasn't supposed to be your quarterback this year. Aaron Rodgers was supposed to be your quarterback for the next 2 years. Mm-hmm. So to blame him for a lack of productivity, and the defense is good. Mm-hmm. They're winning, or
at least in the game.
Yeah, they're winning in spite of their offense because their defense is good enough to win them games.
Yeah.
So it's ridiculous to be like, hey, it's your fault Aaron Rodgers tore his Achilles and now we have no chance. Like, come on.
Yeah, I just that
I'll never believe Bill Belichick's on the hot seat until he's gone in New England, because that is the situation where it was one of those situations where it feels like he stays until he wants out. And if he wants out, then maybe they part ways. But that's a tough guy to fire. You got 6 Super Bowls. Tough guy to fire.
Right. Brady's got 7. Bill's got 6 of them. Watson is out for a year. This was another shot. This one took me by surprise because he played so well in the second half of that victory against the Ravens and made plays and throws for that matter. Then we find out, wait a minute. And I know he was doubled over in pain on the sideline afterwards, but never saw this coming. Season-ending surgery for Deshaun Watson for a 6-3 Browns team. That one hurts when it looks like he was finally maybe starting to figure it out a little bit. And this Browns team had some potential. They are in the playoff picture currently.
Their defense is great.
And now done for the year. So they go to the rookie, DTR. This one took me by surprise. I just kind of figured, hey, like, here's a big shakeup because all 4 AFC North teams could make the playoffs. But now I wouldn't bet any amount of money on Cleveland to make the playoffs here, even at 6-3 and playing as well as they are.
They're going to be in a similar situation where their defense is good enough to keep them in games. But can you rely on a rookie quarterback or Walker? You know what I mean? I just don't know that's going to happen. But their defense has been one of the best in the league.
Myles Garrett's a beast. Denise says Buffalo's done. Yeah, I mean, there's nothing. And I know if we've learned anything this year.
So we don't know anything.
Correct.
We've learned that many
it is
years
to
ago.
not look back on the past as an indicator of the future.
Yep, a predictor. Yep.
So I know I sit here next to Ash and she says, would it shock you if the Bills turned it around? Yes, it would stun me. I would lose piles and piles of money if the Bills turned this season around at some point. I just don't see it happening. But then again, every single week, I've thought one of 6 or 7 teams is the best team in the NFL, and then they go out the next week and prove that they aren't.
Yeah.
I still just don't see it happening for Buffalo. They have too difficult of a stretch. Kansas City and Dallas and Miami still.
Yeah, it's not an easy turnaround because if you fix yourselves,
Philadelphia.
You fix yourselves, that's one thing. But now you fix yourselves against some of the best competition in the NFL, and it still might not matter.
By the way, did you see that Eagles-Chiefs this week, Monday night game, right? Taylor Swift is scheduled to meet Travis Kelce's parents for the first time at that game.
So I had seen that her parents were going to meet his parents, but I wasn't sure if she would be there because that would require her to fly.
Maybe it was her parents, his parents.
But it's not to say she couldn't be there. Thursday, Friday, Saturday in Rio.
Oh, yeah.
Fly back Sunday,
sure.
You're there Monday
There's got to be
night.
a direct flight from Rio to Kansas City, right? That's good. That's
on a private jet, sure is.
It's a daily commute for some people, I'm sure.
Sure is.
Yeah, you're right.
If she wants to be there, my guess is she will be. It may just be one of those things where she's going to send her parents. Listen, Kelsey's already met her parents. She's already met his parents. They just probably haven't met together.
Oh, I didn't think she had met his parent.
She was hanging out with his mom in the box.
Yeah, right. Okay.
And Travis was at the concert with her dad.
Yeah, okay.
So,
all right. That's my bad information there. I got one more thing here in this loaded first segment, just because there's so much to get to in the NFL. And then we'll talk with our buddy Tim Reynolds from the Associated Press. This is just, it just adds to the drama in Buffalo. First of all, I know.
Up.
You're injured and you're out for the year, Trayvon Diggs. And so now you have nothing better to do than to jump on social media and tweet about the drama with your brother's team. Like, oh my gosh, 14 got to get up out of there. And then in reference to Josh Allen, let's not forget, he didn't start going off till Bro got there.
He was already pretty good.
Now, Stephon Diggs is distancing himself from his brother's
he said all the right things.
tweets, but still, you like when they get together over Christmas or in the off season, he's going to smack Trayvon on the back of the head and say, "Hey, man, you're not doing me.
Thanks
any
for making my
favors
life
here."
miserable. Because now I'm answering questions about you,
unless
at my interview,
unless Trayvon really knows something. And remember, Stephon over the off season didn't appear to want to be in Buffalo.
He's not happy, but he's not tweeting these things.
What a mess, huh? Carol's tired of the drama. Carol had bad news. We have more drama, and it takes us to college football. Okay. And this is fun, right? But we do, Sam. We have to talk about Taylor. Taylor has crossed over deep enough into the sports space that by sticking to sports, we're talking about Taylor Swift. Okay. Let me just say this. The success of the Chiefs season hangs on the schedule of Taylor Swift.
Well, guess what? What do we say? She's in Tokyo for the Super Bowl.
I'm just saying they won't win the Super Bowl. If she's not around, she's not. Was she in Denver? Was she in Denver?
No. I don't believe so.
How'd that go? Not well. Telling you.
By the way, Sam.
If she's not there, they're not winning.
This is not just a sports talk show.
Oh.
Have you not seen the musical artists that we've had on this show? The ultimate dream would be to get Taylor Swift on this show. So you know what? We're going to keep talking about it until someday we get somebody who's 6 degrees of separated from Taylor Swift to be on our show.
I don't care what kind of stories that's been told on you. That may be a lot of things in life you used to do. If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. Just do the best you can.
Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs and 95 calories.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alphen House.
We like giving Sam a hard time because we know.
He gives us a hard time.
Yeah, that's true. We know we can handle it, right? Carol says you and every other talk show host. Yeah.
She moves the needle.
Yeah.
So does Travis Kelce.
I don't know if she's the dream guest, but we would take her. I wouldn't say no if she's not at the top of my list. You know,
she's at the top of my list because you know how many people would watch this show
I get
for
that.
the first time in the history of ever.
Yeah, I'm just not sure that she would say anything interesting.
No, but I don't care.
Okay.
Tell me about Rio. Tell me about whatever you want. Tell me about when you came to Albany when you were 16 and played as an opener for Rascal Flatts. She probably wouldn't remember it, but yes, tell me about whatever you want.
Okay. New college football playoff rankings are out, and we have a new number 1, Georgia up to 1. I don't know what Ohio State did to
deserve
a bump down.
I believe we both.
But Georgia put it on
a
top 10 ranked Ole Miss team. So maybe it's the other way around, Georgia earned the promotion as opposed to Ohio State earning the demotion. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, we picked Ole Miss, and we weren't even close on that.
Michigan is still 3, Florida State's 4. The rest of them are all still the same, 5 through 8. Everybody is still sitting there. Missouri is the new team into the top 10 at number 9, which is whatever. They're not going to make the playoff anyway. We don't need to talk about them. But all these teams on your screen either have no or 1 loss. So no major issue here. I just still think Washington deserves to be in the top 4.
Yeah, I agree.
They've got the best win of any team on your screen, having beaten Oregon. Florida State hasn't really beaten anybody. I get they're 10-0, but if you said, "Hey, Florida State, Washington tomorrow on a neutral field," give me Washington. That's how I look at a lot of these things. Washington's better.
Yeah,
but okay. Games to watch this weekend: Georgia at Tennessee. Vols laid an egg.
I was going to say, if it's the same Tennessee team that came out last week, forget about it.
But they will be home.
Yep.
So this is an interesting game here. And then Washington and Oregon State.
The night game.
Interesting game there. But I think those are the only 2 games that match up ranked opponents.
Okay.
So it's a kind of weak.
Yeah, and I was going to say, like, if all goes according to plan, then nothing changes in CFP land.
Right. All right. So people who are sick of the drama will just keep going.
And now, Dirty, Difficult, and Done. Sponsored by Performance Industrial.
It's more with the coaches here. We will get to what's going on at Texas A&M in a moment, but this one, boy, what a disaster this was. I mean, Michigan is flying to State College to play Penn State, and
that was a little dirty.
And the Big Ten
suspends
Jim Harbaugh while they're on the plane and on an observed holiday.
Correct. Observed government holiday.
There is no legal system in play in order to appeal to any kind of court on Friday, which was observed Veterans Day, before a noon kickoff on Saturday. The Big Ten basically said, we are going to you every which way possible. And
he was done dirty.
Yeah.
But
maybe earned.
Deserved it.
Yeah.
A little more than Ken Dorsey.
Yeah. So anyway, Harbaugh suspended for the final 3 games of the regular season. It didn't matter at Penn State. It won't matter this week against Maryland, but will it matter against Ohio State? That's kind of the interesting one always between those two
You
teams
would
at the end of
think.
the year. Anyway, the drama's done. Harbaugh says he'll take the 3-game suspension.
Yeah, and
Okay.
and
They don't have much of a
Michigan says,
choice.
and the Big Ten says, okay, we're good. Let's move on. So after all that,
Yeah.
you suck it up and
He's gone.
worry about
Right?
the playoffs.
Gone. No matter what.
Maybe. I don't know. If he's smart, he's gone. But
you got to take an NFL job. This one also happened over the
this
weekend.
is unbelievable.
So Jimbo, and this I'll make this just quickly here. Jimbo Fisher's out at Texas A&M. This is what continues to astound me, and it's like the
College
NBA
athletics.
team James Harden, Kyrie Irving effect here. These teams and organizations, they can't get out of their own way, and these schools can't get out of their own way.
It's ridiculous.
So Jimbo gets a 10-year, $100 million contract to leave Florida State to go to Texas A&M. He didn't win anything. I mean, he won an Orange Bowl, but it wasn't a college football playoff game. And then in the aftermath of that, there's the threat that he might leave A&M for LSU. So the guy hasn't done anything really at your program yet. In fact, you could argue that in his first few years there, it was a severe underachievement. But just the threat of him leaving and you maybe having to find another coach spurred A&M to give him another incredibly lucrative long-term deal. So he stays, and not even 3 years later, you fire the guy. They still owe him $76 million to not coach. And there is nothing in the contract, Ash, to keep him from taking another coaching job and not getting the money. So he could double dip his way here if he wants. Now he won't. I'm sure he'll go to TV or something like that for a couple years and then get back in. But Jimbo Fisher got everything he wanted in his contract with A&M. And more power to him.
Yep.
Good for you, Jimbo. But these colleges and universities and these teams, even professionally, are being run by complete idiots.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what do they say? Scared money don't make money. They are giving these contracts to coaches because they are scared of what might happen. It's crazy to me.
Jimbo Fisher is going to make nearly $21,000 every single
day. Is that
day for the next 7 years of his life, not to coach Texas A&M.
Wow.
$21,000 a day. Like, you can't even wrap your mind around it. It's almost impossible to believe. And that's right after they extend him and they're like, you know what? Don't worry about it. We'll get it from boosters. No big deal.
And they will.
That's why the system is so broken.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to come up with the number, but it was like, do you know how many in-state tuitions that money could pay for? You could send tens of thousands of kids to college. Like, it's just, putting it in perspective is so absurd.
Yeah.
$21,000 almost every day.
Baseball still to get to here on the show. But we've got our buddy Tim Reynolds from the Associated Press coming up here next on Onorato and Miller. We'll get into the NBA in-season tournament. Kevin Huerter heating up and Jimmer Fredette going to Paris. Maybe? We think so. What does Tim think? Back right after this.
Marcella's Appliance Center, our commitment is to you, providing essential appliances that families depend on for cooking, refrigeration, cleaning, and sanitation, plus appliance repair. You can have peace of mind that Marcella's is here for you today and every day, like we have been since 1957, helping you make the right choice with trusted brands like Whirlpool, Maytag, KitchenAid, and many more. Shop Marcella's Appliance Center in-store, online, or by phone. We're here for you.
Fall in love with camping all over again at Alpenhaus RV. As another season comes to a close, we look back on a summer of sunsets, late-night campfires, and countless memories. Extend the excitement with a new summer retreat for you and your family. All month long, find amazing deals on new and pre-owned RVs from the nation's top brands, like this 2024 Coachman Catalina for $162 a month, or this 2024 Keystone Cougar for $387 a month. Visit us in Amsterdam or Saratoga, or online at alpenhausrv.com. Alpenhaus, your total camping outfitter.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpenhaus.
All right, here we go. Back on Onorato and Miller. It's Chris. It's Ash. Ash, you remember a few weeks ago we had the conversation on the show, like, you know, even if some of your best buddies were fans of a team you despised, would you root for that team just to see your buddies happy? And I said, absolutely not. No chance in the world. And we were talking about the Philadelphia Phillies. And as good of a guy as our guest is, he's a huge Phillies fan. And I would say if he cried at the end of their postseason run, I would say, do you have a picture I could see? Because that would I would enjoy that. Let's bring in our guest, Tim Reynolds, a Phillies fan and a good friend of ours in the Capital Region. Tim, do you agree? Are you a fervent enough fan where you would say, I don't care who my best friend roots for, I don't want to see them win?
I have never felt more hoodwinked ever coming on a program. I did not know that was the open. That was not discussed. That was not cleared. The lawyers did not review this. I'll tell you what, I'll send you a picture of me in about 50 weeks crying when Bryce Harper carries the trophy down Broad Street.
Ouch.
Because we are winning it. How can anyone hate the Phillies?
Hold on a second. Did you just ask how can anyone hate a Philadelphia team? That's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard.
I'm not from Philly.
Right.
But that doesn't matter. Most Philly fans are.
We like you. We love you. We don't like, I mean, you would never root for somebody. If, let's say your best friend was an Iona fan. Are you telling me you root for Iona? There it is.
I see your point.
No.
I see your point. I don't like your point, but I see your point.
All right, Tim, man, we are so thrilled to have you on the show. First time with Ash as part of this show. Thank you for doing it, man.
Happy to.
The in-season tournament. It's funny because Ash will tell you, huge NBA fan, always have the package at home. And I was kind of like, this feels a little, I don't even know the word for it, but am I really going to be? So let me just ask you plainly, as people in the newsroom at News Channel 13 are like, what is the deal with this in-season tournament? I didn't know what was happening. Why? Why are we doing this?
Because we're talking about it and it's before Christmas. And that's why we're doing it. See, you television types, unlike us mere print hacks, you guys understand the power of ratings and how TV money makes the world go round. Well, guess what's going on simultaneous to the start of the first ever in-season tournament? We're negotiating a new TV deal in the NBA. So we're talking, I mean, the traditional start for people to start watching the NBA has always been Christmas.
Yeah.
And the numbers bear that out. The fact that people are talking about it on Tuesdays and Friday nights, at least in November, look, it's a good thing. I don't know if I was skeptical. I just didn't care. Like, I have to watch 82 Heat games and about 1,000 other games anyway. So to me, it's not like it's the same amount of work, just with, weird painted courts everywhere. I kind of like the courts, actually. Like, I showed up for the first Heat game and seeing it in person made me think of a Section 2 wrestling championship is about to break out. Like, it looks like wrestling mats everywhere. But we're talking about the NBA in mid-November. And that is a huge win already for Adam Silver. No matter who gets to Vegas, no matter who gets to the Final Four and who wins the first ever NBA Cup, I do think the money at the end is going to matter to a lot of guys. I think saying that you won the first one will matter to a lot of guys. I don't think there's anything not to like. The only thing two things I'm down on is if an East Coast team makes the Final Four, they have to fly to Vegas, and that adds about 5,000 miles to the year, and these guys are in the air all the time anyway. I also don't like how the 83rd game doesn't count.
Yeah.
And there's no way around it, but the championship game, for people who don't know, the championship game will not count in the standings. Everything else does. I don't love that part, but everything else, look, beggars can't be choosers. We're talking about the league in November. It's a good thing.
I'm admittedly not the biggest NBA fan. I'm a college hoops girl kind of through and through, but I was having Chris explain all of this to me maybe 2 weeks ago. And I was like, why, you didn't do a great job, but I think the biggest thing is, yes, there's money involved, but isn't that more incentive for, the fifth guy or the first guy off the bench or the second guy off the bench than it is for, like, Steph Curry doesn't care about $500,000, but there's a lot of guys on that team who would.
There are a lot of guys who would. And I promise you, some of those guys who are making more than $500,000 a game, they're going to care about it. Believe me. Those guys, Jimmy Butler makes a good amount of money. I think like 45 this year. When he came up with Big Face Coffee in the bubble, when we were all doing our VA mandated sentences, mine was 94 days in the bubble in 2020. Jimmy did not give anyone, including his teammates, a free cup of coffee, and he was charging $20 a head. So, the money will matter to most of these guys. It won't make a big difference in Steph and Aisha's life. They're not going to be like, okay, now we have $1,500,000. It's still going to be good. But for the guys who are making $3 million, $4 million, $5 million, it's a really good chunk of change. Remember, NBA guys keep about half their money based on where they live, and even the tax-free states, you pay tax on this. I mean, yes, it's still a ton of money. Like, we're not crying for them in any way, but they will play for that 500. The coaches will also play for the 500. Remember, they get 500 too, which I'm sure they'll split among their staffs. But like Ty Lue came out and just said it the other day. Like, what's the reason to do this? I want $500,000. So there you go.
Okay, and the ratings, you said it, the ratings bear out that, hey, people don't really pay attention to, but the ratings for this have been really good to start. Like, fans are noticing, these games now matter, which is so crazy that you only play 82 and we found a way to devalue some of the regular season games. Do the players care? So in other words, on a Tuesday and a Friday night from November 3rd to December 6th or whatever the schedule is, nobody's taking those games off, right? We're not using the dreaded load management phrase, right?
I wouldn't expect we'll hear load management on those dates. Some teams will be out of it by the fourth game. Remember, it's a 4-game season, basically, to get to the quarterfinals. So, the games as you get to that last week, as we get to Thanksgiving week, those third and fourth games are going to matter. Like, it could be I don't have the Heat schedule committed to memory, but like a Heat Bucks game or a Heat Knicks game could be the one that clinches East Group C or East Group B, whichever one they're in. Even I don't have them all down yet. And we're not going to be hanging like a Group B champions banner, sure. But those games,
they might have
a 4-game season, you artificially manufacture some intrigue. Like, hey, this is a de facto championship game. So, no, I don't think guys will load manage. Plus, also, it's November. If you're resting now, other than like guys on a back-to-back or guys coming off something and they don't want to say, or nobody's going to take games off now, particularly those games. And they all know this is a big deal to Adam Silver. This is a really big deal to Adam Silver. Keep Adam Silver on your good side is always a good policy. Guys are going to play if they can. And they should, by the way.
Sure. Tim, I know you admittedly said you see all 82 Heat games, but you see a lot of other basketball. So is there anything that surprises you? And maybe I'll start with Harden because that seems to be everyone has some kind of opinion on it. Is there anything that surprises you, whether it's the Sixers 8-1 without him, the Clippers 3-6 with him? Are you not surprised by either result? Or is there a different team that, despite being 10 games in, you think like, well, that's not what I expected from that team, good or bad?
I think Dallas is one of those teams that jumps off the sheet and says, okay, I'm a little bit surprised by them. I usually don't get too into where a team is. Oh my gosh, the start is so good until about the 20-game mark. That's kind of, I think history sort of bears that out, that's when you know what a team kind of is. And then you can get a sense of, in the next 20 games, it kind of takes you sort of toward trade deadline. Are they making moves? Are they not making moves? It just takes time to figure it out. Philly, though, is an unbelievable example of a team that has a brand new system. Nick Nurse, who's a great guy, great coach. He's come in and he has tailored his system for Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. And guess what? It's working. It's not that hard. Like, if you are a smart coach who's going to tailor what you do and build it around your two best players, and everyone's going to really enjoy each other and play for each other. I mean, look, the Heat were what, 44-38 last year? And made the finals, not just because Jimmy Butler was unbelievable in the playoffs, not because Bam Adebayo is the best defensive player in this league, and enough people don't realize that, because Eric Spoelstra is a Hall of Fame coach. They made the finals because of all of those things and the fact that they really enjoy being around each other. They loved coming to the gym every day. You need that. It doesn't guarantee you anything, but you need that. Ash, you mentioned James Harden. I don't think we've said too many times a team with James Harden has enjoyed being around each other, at least not in recent years.
Nope.
It does take time. It's a huge move the Clippers made. They have an enormous amount of talent. It will take time to figure it out. Clearly, what they're doing so far is not working. I think what they're going to end up doing at some point is James Harden's going to come off the bench. James Harden was a great sixth man in this league when he started. There's no shame in not starting. Like, the starting thing is so dumb in basketball, period. It's about who's on the floor at the end of games. Finishing. That's what you want to be. I think the Clippers will figure it out. It's just you've got a team of enormous personalities. Then you bring in another big, enormous personality. And, oh, by the way, they're all in contract years. Like, if Ty Lue does win this tournament, he's going to earn that $500,000 because he is going to have to do the coaching job of all time to make all these pieces fit and keep everybody happy.
Harden and Kyrie, teams are that girl, that woman who say, I can change him. And they've yet to learn that they're not going to change them. Tim, we've gone 11 minutes without saying the name Kevin Huerter, which is just crazy. How about the Kings team? They're playing without De'Aaron Fox now, really, for the bulk of the start of their season. Was last year an aberration, or is this a top 4 or 5 team in the West for the next, I don't know, handful of years?
The West is bloody. The West is such. I mean, the East has really picked up too. I mean, there's no buys into the playoffs really anymore, unless you're Denver. Probably. I think Philly and Boston are probably in. I think we can go ahead and put the X next to them in the standings. I like Sacramento. Everybody knows I love Kevin. I was so happy the other night he finally had a big game.
Huge game. I
have not reached out to Kev in a few weeks because I think he's probably got enough people telling him what's going on and what they're seeing. I just haven't seen. He just didn't play with that same bounce, that same pep. Look, there's an ebb and flow to everything in life. You don't become a bad shooter in the NBA. It does not happen. You don't become a bad player in the NBA. He's an excellent passer. He always has been. I think that's why he got into the league, period, is because of his vision, because of his passing. He's an incredibly smart guy. Mike Brown's a great coach, unanimous coach of the year last year, rightly so. They've got all the pieces. Yes, they're dealing without one of their big guys right now, obviously, in De'Aaron Fox, the point guard. You can't lose your quarterback and be the same team. 82 games, guys. It's a long season. I have zero doubt that Kevin Huerter and the Sacramento Kings are going to the playoffs, assuming everybody stays largely healthy. Yep. That's always the caveat in the NBA. They're a playoff team. They're a contending team. They took Golden State to 7 games last year. They're going to learn from that. And sometimes you have to, nobody wants to admit this, but sometimes you just ease into the season. Sometimes you just can't get those juices flowing quite yet. They know what they have. I'm not worried at all about Kev. I'm not worried at all about the Kings.
Yeah, we love watching Kevin. And Chris, I thought you were going to lead into it with, we've gone 11 minutes without saying this name. Instead, we've gone 13 minutes without saying this name, Jimmer Fredette, who is, Tim, we've talked about this, Chris and I have, arguably,
here we go,
potentially the biggest name. I know he's not an Olympian yet, but he could potentially be the 518's biggest Olympic name ever. We were trying to rack our brain for guys who have born, raised in the capital region, who are going to be an Olympian and who have a really good chance to medal. It could be this guy. It could be Jimmer Fredette, a guy who in college was the talk of the nation, never really got his great shot in the NBA, but playing for your country and playing for a gold medal, it could be as good as it gets for this guy.
Oh, 100%. I mean, the only other name, I'm listening to you there, and the only other name I can really think of is Jeff Blatnick. Yeah. As far as like the great Olympic story from our part of the world, which I still say I'm from. It'll be my 12th, but I don't think anybody cares about that since I haven't competed in any of them.
I care.
Let's just spill it out this way. Jimmer Fredette, who born in Glens Falls Hospital like me, he is not an Olympian yet. They have not named an Olympic team. Let's be real clear. He is not an Olympian. They have qualified. The United States has qualified a men's 3x3 team. Everybody acts surprised when you hear it this spring. Jimmer Fredette's going to the Olympics. I would be completely 100% shocked if he's not on that team. Again, if healthy. He has earned it. He has been the captain, the leader. He's built for this game. Right. He has embraced this game. He has recruited guys to this game. He has studied the nuance of it. It is a different game. This isn't you just take your best guys and go play half court. It's a totally different game. Jimmer, I think, has embraced it as much as anyone in the world. He played a huge role, obviously, in getting them qualified. He deserves to go. There is a process, and it's nobody's throwing shade at Jimmer. Trust me on this. USA Basketball has a process for selection. They've qualified the team. Now they're going to figure out how all the pieces fit. Put it this way. I'm planning on doing 5-on-5, obviously, with our men's national team. I'm going to see some 3x3 too, because I know I won't be the only guy born in Glens Falls Hospital who's going to be down there.
I love that. Tim, I'm going to let you go on this because I know Ash has to run as well. I read in a bio, maybe it needs to be updated, but you tell me if it's true. 23 different countries you have covered sporting events. Ash and I just had a wonderful weekend, by the way, in Stowe, Vermont, where we visited one of the Ben & Jerry's factories, and Ben & Jerry's is sold on 5 continents. Can you match Ben & Jerry's? Have you covered events on 5 continents?
North America, Europe, Asia,
South America.
Yeah.
Australia. Been to Sydney.
Haven't covered anything in Australia. Haven't covered anything in Africa.
No Antarctica. So we got to get you one more.
Got to get one more.
We got to get you one more.
All right.
Got to get one more. I do cover a small soccer team here that has a certain 8-time Ballon d'Or winner.
I haven't heard of them.
Messi something. Forget his name. They're going to be playing a lot of games around the world the next couple of years while he's still under his $150 million
Yeah, get
contract.
in on that.
So, there is a chance maybe of Africa at some point. But 23 countries, which is kind of crazy when you think about it.
Well, the 12th Career Olympics coming up in Paris. And hey, who knows? Maybe he'll see annoying redhead from News Channel 13 will be running by your side.
I know Ash has to run, but can I speak directly to the powers that be at News Channel 13?
Yeah, do it.
We need Chris. We need Chris there. Actually, we need Chris and Ash there, frankly. I know Ash has
I'm
moved
about
on
to
to a
have
different
to-
world. I know. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of the move. I'm a huge fan of you. Oh my God, don't get me wrong. I'm a huge fan of you. But I don't like when people leave our industry because, it's
I know.
we need all the help we can get, Ash.
We'll push to get him.
But
We'll push to get him.
Chris needs to be at the Olympics because Jimmer's going. So there's that. There.
Love that.
Powers that be at News Channel 13.
Tim, thank you, buddy, man. This is always fun. It's always too far and few and far in between, or however the heck you say that. But we appreciate the time, man. Know you're busy doing much, much more than the NBA. So thank you, dude.
You guys do great. Thank you so much. Big fan of you both. Ash, a little more than Chris, obviously. But so thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
I don't care what kind of stories that's been told on you. That may be a lot of things in life you used to do. If you can't give true love to me, I'll understand. Just do the best you can.
Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs and 95 calories.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alpen House.
All right, back live now after hanging out with Tim Reynolds. Always like talking with Tim, and he's been good to the show. And we try to be good back to him, even though we give him a hard time about being a Phillies fan.
Yeah.
That's okay. Next week, it's Thanksgiving, so we are on a day early and an hour and a half, or I don't know why, but an hour and a half early and a day early, obviously. You're not going to do the show live on Thanksgiving. Go ahead.
Yeah, Thanksgiving Eve, you want to be able to first of all, we're going to be live from Amsterdam.
There you go.
So that gives us a little bit of time to get home, night before Thanksgiving.
Okay.
To do the things that people want to do around the holidays and not force them to watch us on Thanksgiving. Because let's be honest, who's going to watch us on Thanksgiving?
I don't know.
Other than Adam,
maybe Adam.
Happy Thanksgiving,
Happy
Adam.
Thanksgiving, man. His Cowboys are looking pretty good right now.
Yep.
They just need to play at home maybe the rest of the year, and they'll be good for the rest of the year. Let's get into what's breaking in baseball as we do the show live on a Thursday. Regular season awards being handed out this week. Rookies of the year, managers of the year, Cy Youngs, and MVPs. Am I missing any?
No. That's the important stuff.
Yeah, okay. I don't think so. We've got unanimous in the American League.
It's all
Garrett
about
Cole
the
wins the Cy
unanimous.
Young. Shohei Ohtani wins MVP. And Ronald Acuna Jr. of the Braves just named unanimous National League MVP. So three of the big four go to unanimity.
Go unanimously.
There you go.
Yeah, they seemed like pretty slam dunky kind of.
Yeah.
Like Ronald Acuna Jr., when you're doing stuff that no one has ever done in the history of Major League Baseball, and technically Shohei Ohtani too, no one has ever done this in the history of baseball. The MVPs felt pretty easy.
Yeah,
so deservingly unanimous.
And I think the Cy Youngs were easy because it was just a boring year for Cy Youngs.
Yeah.
Like, at no point did I go through the Major League Baseball season and think, whoa, Garrett Cole is just mowing people and dominating the competition.
No, but he was really
when you
good.
look at the numbers, you're like, oh, that guy had a really good year. But it never jumped out at me. And same for Blake Snell.
Yeah.
Leon says future Met Ohtani.
Maybe.
They've
got the money to spend.
Juan Soto is a guy whose name is being floated a
Future
lot
Yankee?
as a trade candidate, maybe a Yankee.
That'll
Where
be
is
a
Ohtani
mistake.
going? What's the best landing spot for him? Not where is he going? What is the best landing spot for him?
Well, I'd say one of the
Maybe
a better team. So the Dodgers, you know what I mean? Somewhere where he can win. I don't think that's going to be New York because that has become the Mets. I mean, that has become what feels like a little bit of a rebuild because now they don't have Max Scherzer. They don't have Jacob deGrom. They don't have Justin Verlander. So who's pitching for that team? I understand we're bringing back the bulk of the run production. Who's pitching for them? So I just don't think other than Shohei, if his arm is fine, but his arm's not going to be fine next year.
No, 2025 at the earliest for him.
Dodgers. And I don't know that that's realistic with the money that they pay other people.
Dodgers?
Yeah.
No, they've let guys go in anticipation of Shohei being available.
Then look out. Maybe the Dodgers. But yeah, I agree. West Coast is probably better for him. Doesn't have to move too far. Joins a really good team. They could use his pitching and his bat. I mean, that team would be...
There's some smoke, and it's not going to happen, but I'll just mention it here because it's fun for me. There are reports that Ohtani has said he would be interested in the Braves. Now, none of that makes sense.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it
Atlanta,
makes sense, but
but that is a team that is built to win for a long time, and maybe that's what attracts him. But I think the Cubs are also a major player in the Ohtani sweepstakes as well. I think it's going to happen quickly, like before the middle of December.
Remember when you said something was going to happen quickly last time?
What did I say was going to happen quickly?
I'm
sure
Aaron Rodgers to the
I'm
Jets.
always wrong.
Aaron Rodgers to the Jets took
that took
3 months, and you were like, "It's going to happen by next week," and I was like, "No," and then it didn't happen for forever.
That did take forever.
Yeah,
I forgot I said that, but I've said so many wrong things
on
this show and many other shows.
I've said many wrong things too, but I just like to call you out for that one because you're like next week, and then I was like, "That's never happening."
As you should. Yeah. Okay, our NFL picks for Week 11 right after this.
Teams. Athletes. Organizations. We're transforming the custom apparel industry through product and purpose. Claim your crown.
You've heard of unsung heroes. The men and women of Nyskoba are the unseen heroes. For the past year, you've learned about our many charitable endeavors. Now it is my privilege to share with you the work performed by our members, the 20,000 state correction and law enforcement officers shielded from view. They work in difficult and dangerous conditions and are an extension of the police who protect our neighborhoods. Nyskoba honors New York's police and firefighters and salutes its own members who help deliver a peaceful night's sleep.
And now, back to Onorato and Miller. Sponsored by Alphen House.
All right, our picks. How are we doing, Ash?
Well,
these are our picks last week.
After you bragged about last week, I didn't have any.
It's 5-0.
I didn't have much to brag about last week. After you bragged last week, we back down to earth. That's how the world works.
These were our picks. We were 2-3. Season record's still good.
Yeah.
This is good when you're gambling against the spread, people, not just picking winners. And we aren't even just identifying the games that we really like, which I would do on my mobile betting app. Like, hey, I really like this. We're trying to pick games that are relevant to the Capital Region audience, but also we are locked into always picking the Sunday night game, which is on News Channel 13. So it's not like we're, kind of loading this thing up in our favor. And I still think we're being pretty good. So after I've broken my arm patting us on the back, let's get into this week's games here with the final few minutes of the show.
This is pre-Deshaun.
Steelers-Browns, right. And I almost texted our guy, John Conlon, who does the graphics for the show. Hey, I might want to change but you know what? I'm going to stick with Cleveland here.
Stick with your guns. Yep, I get.
Steelers don't score enough for me to believe they're going to go win this game on the road against a really good defense. So give me the slipperiness of Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Cleveland to still somehow cover 3.5.
Yeah, and you know what? And if we lose this game, it's a wash. Like it's one of those ones you throw out, and you're like, well, Deshaun didn't play. We thought he might play, and now he's done for the year. So we won't pick the Browns anymore.
Jets and Bills. A lot of conversation out there. Like, is this the season for Buffalo? If they don't win this game, are they done? And I would say yes.
Because then after that,
they have a bye, but then they've got in
row.
Some order KC, Philly, Dallas.
Yeah, it's tough sledding if they don't win this
But
one.
can they cover the 6.5? Why are we both on Buffalo here?
I don't know because because the Jets can't score.
That's it.
I know the Jets defense can score, and if the Jets force turnovers like the Broncos did last week, the Broncos didn't even force turnovers. The Bills were throwing the ball all over it was just like they couldn't hold on to the ball. So if they do that,
but this is like a 23-13 game or something like that.
Yeah.
Buffalo will score enough to cover this number.
Yep.
All right. Vikings and Broncos were different here.
You're
Same
riding
on
the
first
Broncos
two.
train.
I am. First of all, Denver at home. They are on the upswing. Russell Wilson is efficient, not spectacular, but he's been efficient. Go look at the numbers. They're more impressive than the way it looks when you watch it live on Sundays. And I'm betting here against the Josh Dobbs.
I like the Josh Dobbs.
I do too. I don't like the Vikings, but I do too. I just don't think it's going to last forever.
Sure, it won't last
so
forever.
Give me it to stop here in Denver.
I don't think it lasts forever in Denver either. But
fair enough.
That is an improving team. I love the Dobbs story. It's a feel good story. I'm sticking with the Vikings.
Okay. Monday night. This is the game of the week, maybe the game of the season.
This was hard for me,
Super Bowl.
But I just wanted to kind of take a flyer because I thought you might pick the Chiefs, and I wanted to be different. And I think the Eagles obviously have a chance to win, but this game's going to be awesome.
Eagles might be the best team in football still, right?
Yep.
I mean, Adam wants to know if Tomlin's coach of the year. If he gets this team to the playoffs the way they're playing, Leon says Buffalo's going to show up this week. I like that. Okay. He also couldn't believe he took the Giants last week. They were in it for a little while there, too.
No, they weren't. It
didn't last forever, but all right. So we're the same on 2. We're different on 2.
I'll never pick the Giants again. Don't worry about it.
So it'll get interesting. Thanks for watching Onorato and Miller. Thanks to Tim Reynolds for joining us. Have a great weekend, everybody. We'll see you Wednesday next week.